Welcome students, this is your video on quadratic formula. This is going to be due on 3/31, which is the Tuesday after your English STAR test. Hope you did well on your test. Good luck if you haven't taken your test at this point in time. The main thing you need to know for this, the quadratic formula, is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And this is the template that we used in class. If you want to copy it down on all of the problems, we did negative parentheses plus or minus square root of parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses divided by 2 parentheses. So this was everything that we did. Right? Don't write this in, but this was the B, this was the B, A, C, and A. Alright? So it's negative parentheses plus or minus the square root of parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses all divided by 2 parentheses. And we're going to keep doing this all throughout the time because that's the process you have to get into. Okay? So here's the first problem. So the first thing we had to do was identify what's A, B, and C. So A, B, C. So 3, 2, negative 3. So I'm going to do my template here. Parentheses plus or minus the square root of parentheses squared minus 4 parentheses 2 parentheses. Alright? So it starts out with negative of b. So there's 2. And then b squared. And then minus 4 times a times c all divided by 2 times a. So here I do this part first. The opposite of 2 is negative 2, plus or minus. Do my rooftop. I do this part next because that's easy to do. 2 times 3 is 6. Then I enter this part right here from that parenthesis to that parenthesis in my calculator. So I'm going to grab my calculator here. And so I type it in parentheses 2 parentheses square minus 4 parentheses 3 parentheses negative 3. And this is 40. Okay. Once I get that, I split this up. Negative 2 plus the square root of 40 divided by 6. And negative 2 minus the square root of 40 divided by 6. So I type that into my calculator. Negative 2 plus the square root of 40. Enter. Divided by 6. Gives me a crazy decimal, so I do math 1, enter. And it still gives me that crazy decimal again, so it's 0.72. Okay. Or it could have been left like that. On the other side, negative 2 minus the square root of 40. Enter. Divided by 6. Also gives me a crazy decimal, which is negative 1.39. Or it might be left like that on the STAR test. Next one. This one you might write it out in an expanded form to kind of see which one you're missing. This is 5z squared. I'm missing the middle term, so it's plus 0z minus 3 equals 0. So a is 5, b is 0, c is negative 3. So here's my template. The opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all divided by 2a. So I'm going to plug in the opposite of 0, plus or minus 0 squared, minus 4 times 5 times negative 3, all over 2 times 5. So the opposite of 0 is 0, plus or minus rooftop. 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to do all of this portion in my calculator. So that's parentheses 0 squared plus 4 parentheses 5 parentheses negative 3. And this is negative 60 under there. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I was thinking something doesn't seem right here. This is a negative symbol. So let me type that in again. So this is positive 60 under here. Alright, so then I break this up. 0 plus or minus 60 divided by 10. 0 minus the square root of 60 divided by 10. So the square root of 0, oops, not the square root of 0 plus the square root of 60, enter, divided by 10, math 1, enter. Again, it gives me a decimal, so 0.77. 0 minus the square root of 60 divided by 10 is negative 0.77. So again, any of these things could be the answer, and it could even be left in that format over there. Next one. Alright, so this one is a lot like number 7 in that it is not solved for 0. So your first work is this guy has to be moved over to the other side. So this becomes 3n squared minus 10n when we move him, plus nothing on the end equals 0. So notice how I went ahead and got an A, B, and a C. So A is 3, B is negative 10, and C is 0. So I start plugging into my template the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared, minus 4 times A times C, divided by 2 times A. So that's negative 10, that's negative 10, 3, and 0, and 3 here. So I'll start with here. The opposite of negative 10 is positive 10, plus or minus 2 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to enter this part into my calculator. Negative 10 squared minus 4 times 3 times 0. 100 into there. Sorry. I'm going to split this up. Oops. 10 plus the square root of 10 divided by 6. 10 minus the square root of 10 divided by 6. I get a decimal, but it's not that bad of a decimal on this one. And so it does convert to be 10 thirds. 10 minus the square root of 100. That becomes 0 divided by 6 is still 0. So those are my two answers for that one. What I'm going to do with you is number 6. Slip a 1 in front of there. So I have my A, B, C. So A is 1, B is 4, C is 1. So it's the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2 times A. So that's the opposite of 4 times 4 squared minus 4 times 1 divided by 2 times 1. So I do this first. The opposite of 4 is negative 4 plus or minus 2 times 1 is 2. And then I'm going to type this in my calculator. So parentheses 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 1. This is 12. Split it up. Negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 12 over 2. Negative 4 plus or minus, oops, not plus or minus. Negative 4 plus, and then negative 4 minus the square root of 12 divided by 2. So negative 4 plus square root of 12, enter, divided by 2. Gives me a crazy decimal, math 1, enter. Still gives me that crazy decimal. So this is negative 0.27. So that's an answer. Or it could have been left like that. And then negative 4 minus the square root of 12 divided by 2. Math 1, enter. Stays a crazy decimal there. Negative 3.73. Or that could have been the answer too. Okay. You You are responsible for the other, 3 problems that I did not do on here. So make sure that you complete those up. Get them as far as you can. You may not get to the final answer, but really to me you should at least be able to get all of this stuff plugged in and a little bit of it simplified. And as long as you do that, you're going to get full credit on your homework.